For this meeting, I had a question. Is contemplation the only thing we can do, the only action we can undertake if we want to speak about actions and activities? And this question come to me because as I see our environment, I see that most of, I guess, us in the West, in the Western culture, but I guess most of the world now, almost, we are in a very strange place because we are raised in a place where the secular science is providing a lot of information about how things works and how to make them work even better. The only issue is like there is no specific goal to this secular science, to this modern science. There is a goal of utilitarianism that is will make things that work better, but there is no meaning behind. So there is these very powerful tools that are emerging, but there is no meaning. They come from no meaning and they are not oriented toward anything meaningful. So there is this part of us that is raised, our mind, right, and our environment is raised in a place where things are very functional, at the same time they are meaningless. And on the other side, when we want to find some meaning, on the other side there is religion, all of this group and organization that for thousands of years were kind of playing the role of giving meaning to humanity, meaning to people. This what we call the religion, right? Trying to give some kind of higher meaning for human life, for human suffering, for human experience. And all of those organization they have become corrupt, and now they are more dogma. It's more about following the rules than really inner inquiry into what is reality and what we are. So I think now things are very changing, that not the only, but one of the way that become more and more obvious is there are these oases, like those meetings more and more. It's not like huge organization, it's people who, very simple people who simply have discovered something very interesting. Discovering the nature of reality, discovering their own nature. And that's a beautiful way because it offers a huge opportunity, and the opportunity is the direct inquiry into my experience without any intermediary. So how can I find what I am? How can I find peace that is not shaken by event and external causes? How can I find my inner bliss, right? This deep sense of wholeness that is within, without the need of secular science, without the need of religion, without the need of dogma. How can I investigate my experience directly? And that's where, when we want to take this path, and now what is very strong is self-improvement, which self-improvement is kind of a mix between secular science, that is all of this tool of how works the brain, how works the body, how works the cells, the food, the universe, and mixed up with what before was the religion was about how to be happy, how to give yourself meaning. And there is this kind of new format of self-improvement. How can I improve myself to reach a high meaning? How can I improve myself to reach God? How can I improve myself to reach some kind of higher purpose? And it's very strange because the self-improvement, it's beautiful. It can be hugely supportive. So there is a place for that. At the same time, there is something that I'm seeing also is this addiction to self-improvement. It's like the idea of self-improvement seems that it never ends, right? That I always need to do something more. I always need to do the new therapy, right? The new discovery, the new application, the new book, the new whatever it is, right? The new drugs now, because it's a mix up of science and it's the discovery and biochemistry and self-improvement with the brain and the body. So that's why all of this start to emerge. So I'm saying all of this because contemplation was something that was present since there is humans, apparently, or at least since we have scripture. This sense of being able to be aware of what is here directly. Completely open, my mind and my heart open to see what is here and what is now as it is, not as I think it is, not as I want it to be, not as I assume it to be, not through my perceptions, not through my senses, but what is that is here? And it has different names, as the contemplation, some have the word meditation, the direct path. I mean, all of these are different words, but what I'm trying to convey is the only thing that I can really do is it not just I'm here and I'm aware. So what I am aware of, instead of jumping very fast into the story, into the narration, jumping into this is a body, I'm perceiving the world through my eyes, this is this, this is that. What is that is perceiving everything? How can I be aware? How can this be here? How experience is even possible? Isn't this already a miracle? Just to how can right here you experience as it is right now? How can this be? We take things so much for granted that we overlook so much, and this overlooking is simply a lack of sensitivity. We kind of we numb ourselves into smallness. So I feel a sense of lack within me. I am suffering. I feel fear. I feel anxiety about tomorrow. I'm afraid of death. I feel lonely. And this and that. And all of those stories that emerge. Okay? This is here. But how can this experience even emerge? I am afraid. Okay, I feel fear. And from this fear emerge a lot of behavior, right? Different kind of addiction, different kind of expression of fear, which can be even anger. It's an expression of fear because it's a way of protecting myself. So from this fear emerge a lot of actions. Instead of trying to fix every consequences of this fear, is it possible for me to contemplate the fear as it is, without story. It is trying to feel the emotion, to explore this, what we call this, an emotion, which is a flavor, a somatic flavor that emerge without any psychological movement, without any thought about it. Can I be with my fear directly? Can I observe it? Can I let this fear unfold in me without any resistance? So, contemplation is not really something that we do, but it's something that we naturally are. So, in the sense that we are that is already aware of what is here. So, if it is possible to witness the fear that is unraveling within me, is it possible that to feel the fear or to contemplate the fear from a place that is safe? Because often we hold a lot of assumption about how my experience should be. And when something emerges, when an emotion emerges, when, for example, fear emerges, there is something within me that is assuming that this fear shouldn't be here. And because the fear is here, you are not whole, you are not complete, you are not this, you're not that. Right? And this is the thought, this is the layer of thought that is trying to, it is simply expressing itself, its own flavor. But if I'm able to be with the fear completely, be with the anxiety, with the sense of lack, without trying to do anything about it, is it that the only action that is really possible for me? As soon as I'm trying to negotiate with the fear, I'm already kind of falling in the fear, right? As soon as I'm trying to get rid of the fear or the anxiety of whatever, I'm already in conflict with it. Contemplation, it's, from my perspective, it's an extreme beauty. It's really, it's a beautiful gesture of love toward our own self. And even if there is no outward action, I think it's the highest action possible and the only one if we want to talk about doing and something that we can undertake. It is very natural. It's our natural state is to be in a state of contemplation. So it was a simple opening that was in my mind those days about contemplation. Because even in some tradition, that contemplation, there is some branch in the Christian mysticism that but a focus on this kind of practice, this kind of way of approaching experience. In the West also, and this question of who am I, that come from Ramana Maharshi. It's the very famous, he put this very famous question from the Veda. And it's beautiful if you can really understand from where you have to ask the question. Do not get caught into the noise of thinking about it, trying to perceive what you are, trying to feel what you are. That's not really the idea. So it was a small introduction. If there is any question about it, comment, or anything anything else you want to share, you are welcome to speak up.
I have a question, David.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is an emotion a sensation associated to a thought? Isn't for an emotion to be present, isn't there a thought around a sensation that causes an emotion? Isn't an emotion really at its essence originating in a sensation? And the reason I ask this question, just for context, is there ever, would there ever be a time where the identification with thoughts loosens so much that emotions might even, for the most part, not arise? It would just be sensation. There would just be being with different sensations. When thoughts don't grab a hold of every single thing that arises. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm hearing the question. Often I say an emotion is a sensation that overlap a thought. So an emotion, it's a mixture of sensation and thoughts. Yeah. But that's true. At the same time, not really. Because if you go deeper at some layer, you start to feel that experience is emotional by nature. There is, in the sense that there is always a flavor to it. There's always a flavor of that is not psychological, but it's like, I don't like, right? There's preferences. There is, like smelling a flower. Maybe you smell a flower. Maybe there's no thought about it. Maybe there is no memory about it. But it's more a perception in that case. But it works. But it's like, there is a beauty into it, and this beauty, it's inexplicable, but it felt like the word emotion makes sense to use the word emotion, but it's not an emotion in the sense I'm sad because my mother wasn't present in my youth. That's not what I'm talking about. It's something deeper. So the difficulty is, the more deeper you go, the more difficult it is to speak. In English, it's in the language is harder. In other language, like in Tibet and other languages, they have developed a whole semantic about all of those layers. That's why they use many words for many this is an emotion with thought, this is an emotion with a thought, this is an emotion that is in the body, it's an emotion that is in, I don't know, it's kind of outside the body, this is the, and in English, we only have love, peace, emotion, sensation. So it's very, it's very poor for description.
So I have been trying to just go to sensation. Like what is my actual experience? And what I can see is that when there's strong emotion, there's no remembrance to drop into just sensation. It's almost not possible. There's not even it's like I'm swept away, right? The I takes over. It's lost in thought. It's either, in my case, there might be some resistance to being with everything that is arising, specifically some kind of emotional thoughts around suffering, or even just really getting myself, like, allowing the suffering to just devour, right? um, so I guess the mind is trying to figure out, like, it could be a bypass to just try and be dropping into sensation all the time, because the idea is to be witnessing that there are thoughts associated to sensations that are creating emotions, and just allowing and observing all of it. But if I'm constantly just trying to drop into, okay, what do I feel? Who cares what the thoughts are? Could that not result in a bypass of not trying to part out and not be with everything that's here? Because in reality, the thoughts are part of the, they are arising, even though the content has nothing to do with what's happening right now. They are arising now, if that makes sense.
Well, you can use thoughts for your investigation. There's nothing wrong with that. But I, I wouldn't be worried about bypass because you can't avoid anything. When you are ready, things will come up. Even when you are not really ready, things come up, right? So I don't think there is a I bypass for when I, for years, and one day I receive everything in the face. So did I bypass, or did I, for years I was preparing myself for this day? I don't know. You tell me what is really, the good path. I don't know. But I think
Yeah.
we can use thought. I think thought is the narrative you have about a repetitive pattern, a repetitive emotion can be useful. You can say, okay, each time I finish work, I feel miserable. So maybe now that I'm aware that at this time like when when I finish work, I feel that something is missing, for example, and then I go to eat a croissant, a brioche, or then I talk the friend with whom I get angry constantly. I will call him or call her to meet her, so I can get angry, and then it's her fault, and all of this. Okay, now I'm seeing it. So you can be aware of the story, but instead of falling too much into the story, just pay attention, of the rhythm of it, you know. So you can use the story, if, but you have to be intelligent and sensitive about it. But it is true that I am not very focused on what happened with whom, what do you feel, think about this person, what is that, and but I know that this this work exists, and I did it for years, but now I don't. But I recognize that there can be a usefulness to it. But at some point, you will, I hope, see that the mind it's enabled to perceive the true cause of an emotion, doesn't have access to it because the mind cannot feel, right? A thought cannot feel a sensation, so it doesn't really know what is causing a sensation or perception. So the world you perceive, it's a guess, it's an hallucination that we perceive. It's a wild guess. So maybe it's useful, but you know, and of course it has its level of usefulness depending where you are, you know.
Thank you. That's helpful. I'm always worried about bypassing is a thing that's talked about in everywhere right now. And so there's some hypervigilance to like, oh no, am I bypassing? You know, God forbid I do it wrong.
Yeah, but
But it's harder.
that's very interesting because it's not happening everywhere. It's happening for you. And then you are perceiving it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Yes.
fine because that's a reflection of your own preoccupation, which there is two sides that there's all everything come always with two sides. And I like to complicate myself in explaining both. The both that I see, right? And the first one is you are like you said, you are afraid of doing it wrong and therefore kind of losing something in the process or kind of being stuck somewhere. And so you there's this preoccupation, right? Do am I doing this right? Yeah. And the other is this strong will that I will meet everything that arises no matter what. And I don't want to miss any pain. I don't want to miss any suffering. I'm ready. Give everything to me. Right? So it's nice. But when you have this energy and when it comes, you be grateful then. So when you suffer, when you feel pain, when you feel miserable, yeah, thank you. I was afraid of bypass, but now I'm suffering. Great. Thank you very much. Here it is. And then you cry with joy, something like this. But don't worry about really bypass. And I think the less you worry about bypass, the more you really open yourself to meeting what is here. Because one of the issues with what I'm hearing or perceiving from time to time, people who are worried about bypass, they are focused on trying to bring back the event, trying to kind of cleaning constantly, this mode of cleaning. And what can happen with this preoccupation of bypass is you overlook the joy of being happy, the joy of simply being here. So this is something that's very strange, right? I want to be happy, so I know that I have to look what I haven't looked, right? This is kind of the idea. But again, this is the self-improvement mixing up with our modern utilitarist capitalism and cumulative mindset we have that. So then I have to heal more, I have to do more, I have to read more, I have to do, and we overlook the purpose. Why did I start? Because I wanted to simply be happy here. But now I'm constantly seeking emotion and digging into my story and digging there and going into this thing that to woke up emotion, to woke up things. Okay, but remember that what's so wrong with right here, right now? So when there is peace, learn to enjoy the peace, learn to taste it, to dive into it. And you will see that very soon, because this is human experience, there will be problems arising of all kinds. So you don't have to, for me personally, I don't have to seek them. I see that they come on their own. So I'm not worried. But if you are very lucky and they don't come to you, well, enjoy the peace. Don't worry. It will come soon enough. A disease, an accident, war. Who knows? Don't worry about it. That's my take on bypass.
Thank you.
Can I say something about that? Because I also had the same question about dissociation. Because to me, dissociation just means that it's you're honing in on one thing to the exclusion of everything else. And I know that's not what you're teaching, David, but like I know for myself there was like an internal dissociation. Like usually people like they kind of they disconnect from themselves out to outside of their body, and I would like dive into like every sensation and whatever else, and that was a dissociation because everything else disappeared, like the entire world was not there. And I think it's rare that it happens that way, but I just kept wondering, like, if people could sometimes think that, I don't know, like they're trying to get rid of thoughts, so let me, like, like there's some sort of pushing away of the other stuff that's going on. Yeah. So, and then I heard a YouTube video about, like, somebody was talking about that, how now it's very, very popular now to go into sensation in all the non-dual, in a lot of the non-dual circles, and they were saying it's a very quick way to regulate the system. Like when you go into sensation, everything calms down, and they're kind of skipping the layers of like the psyche and the emotion that needs to be part of that whole arising. Like in order for something to release, it goes through like the sensation, and then the emotion, and then the psyche, and that's how it actually, because that's how it registered. So anyway, I don't know if you have anything to say about that, but I kind of, yeah, there's something there that, um, I mean, it all makes sense. I don't know if like I have really a question, because I sort of see their side of how they're expressing it and how you're saying it. So, and I always thought that like feeling the sensation was another, no, I always thought thoughts were an escape. What were the bypass of actually feeling? That's, and that's what you're teaching. So yeah, I don't know if like people could take it too far or whatever, where they're like sort of disconnected from everything else around them, and and even like thoughts that, I don't know, they're subtly pushing it away too. So.
Yeah, there is a lot in what you say. There is a lot of layers in what you share, and each layer is very rich. And as there is no question, it's, I don't know where to begin, but let me see what come up. I think now there is the advantage of internet and this open source of information, that you can find any book in 2 clicks, that before they were secret books, that they were giving those texts to you only after maybe 5, 10, or 20 years of studies, and then they will give you this book because they were convinced that you would understand these teachings, right? Things like this. And now everyone is speaking books, scripture, citation, and videos, and me included. I'm including myself in this mess, right? So I'm part of these huge things that is reveling now. And there are many things that are overlapping within it. And it's beautiful because it gives us a huge opportunity to really find what you need where you are at this right moment, very fast and easily. So that can be seen as an advantage. And as you say, some people are struggling in different way with different things, right? Because every mind and body has a specific way it is tuned. So you the process of realization of to realize what we are, what is nature, and is falling back within it happened in apparently very different ways for everyone, and we speak very differently about it. But what I want to have something to have a small precision in falling into sensation, it has a beauty, and often these huge things of sensation that's coming up come often from the discovery in trauma healing. I think it's Porges who discovered this this secondary parasympathetic nervous system, which is the social nervous system. And with this, with all of the traumas, they have discovered that if you go into sensation very deeply, it is very, very useful, right? But this work was done millennia ago with the yoga, right? But which now the yoga, anyway, so it comes from a very long time ago, but now the West like to rediscover things, right? So here it is, it's new. But there is a difference because some people focus on how to function as an individual here, right? How to have a better way of functioning, a better mind, a better how your body can function better, how your mind can relate better with your environment, with other people, and all of this, which is very valuable. If you have this strong need, it's great. And there are other pointers that point to something a little bit different. And that's what I realized, that's what I'm more have this tendency. I like to point over the light constantly. That's how I do it more and more. And why do I do this more and more? Because I reach the limit of my understanding. I know that I know I don't know how what works really for me or for anyone. So what do I do from there? What's my what when I don't know, but at the same time I have this deep light within that is sending trust, and that's fine. Everything is fine. Don't worry about it. I will take care of it within, which is more in the path of devotion, of contemplation path. This is the direct path that focus on the light that you are, and everything else will be taken care of. But the taking care of can be to go to a therapist because you realize that you really have something that's not working with your mind. So just like if you have a broken bone, you go to the doctor. If your mind or brain is really a pure dysfunction, well, you go to a specialist of the mind or of the chemical of the body that can support you in one way or another. But it takes care of itself. So even if that's why I say it's not black and white, you cannot say this is good, this is bad. It's simply this complexity that is unraveling. And we are all trying to see what is the best, but there is no best. There is what is right for me here and now. That's it,
Yeah, that's why I hold everything really loosely. I could be really fanatic about things, but I realize everything has to be held lightly and then also applied to what feels right for me specifically, because one thing could feel right like for a lot of different people, but not for me. And then at each moment it
Yeah,
could be something else, and
exactly.
stuff like that. And yeah, exactly. I was going to say something else. I forgot what that was, but yeah.
That's part of what you are sharing is this part I'm saying, let go of thoughts. I don't know what is good for the others. I don't know what is good for me. But right now there is this makes sense, right? Like I have to do I have to do boxing. I have to do yoga. I have to just sit for 8 hours and meditate. I have to go hiking. I have to go to work. I have to do money. I have to sell everything.
Yeah.
Things emerge naturally.
And I think thoughts, they're different when they're more aligned, when they're different flavor to the thoughts themselves when the system is more aligned, in my opinion. And when you said about like, um, you were talking about like you go to the therapist, like if something's wrong with your mind or the thoughts or whatever. And to me, it's just part of like mental health. It's like the psyche's there. It's just there. In my, I don't know. For me, I do need to a little bit like tend to that. Not and I think we overemphasize thoughts, so now we have to go in the other direction. But once you know how to do that, you also could bring in thoughts a little bit. So I don't know. That's kind of how it works for me. But
Yeah. Well, like I say, whatever works. You know, I did
Yeah.
a lot of martial arts that they were very physical, very strong, and I learned a lot through this. And I'm sure that many people, if you go into a place where you get literally hit in the face, a lot of what you think is problematic in your life just vanish very fast. you see that you see that many things are not that important, but I don't recommend it openly because I don't know, maybe I should, but I just think that if this is something that is calling you, you will go. If it's not calling you and you go there, it can be terrible. You can have a horrible experience. But if it really makes sense for you, it's great, because it just puts you in face of something that, yeah. So whatever makes sense for you in the moment, it what makes sense, and that's why the way I express it, it's you are meaning. The meaning of anything that you think of anything that you feel or perceive, the meaning that seem to be there is not there. It's in you. The being what you are, it's projecting meaning on things,
Yeah.
right? So I can go watch football and I can have a huge revelation in watching a sport. Why not? Or I can go into a Buddhist retreat and be bored for 2 days because we do nothing. It's very boring. What are we doing here? So it doesn't matter really what is happening outside. So the meaning comes from within. So the more I I taste and I feel what I am, which not as a sensation, but I have this presence of, of my nature, the more I see that everything is meaningful. Not because of what it appears to be, but because it is appearing. So that's my focus, that feel who you are and everything else will will have meaning, whatever it is.
Because it's showing up, it has meaning, or because you're the one that's saying whatever, giving it whatever meaning you feel like giving it. I mean,
Both.
there really is no.
Both.
Yeah.
Because my experience arises within me. My experience is it's a projection of my own being. So it is meaningful because of that.
Yeah. I'm going to give somebody else a chance.
Thank you for Sarah and Nicole for bringing this up. This is something that it's so interesting. So I've tried to talk about this area of working with emotions and thoughts and sensations. And and even though I know a lot about all that and have done a lot of work, I find that I can't just go to emotions. I mean, I can, but depending upon what's happening here, well, I mean, for me, the part of the process has been the thoughts and emotions have somehow, or maybe an understanding about, let's say, the trauma or whatever it is, has helped me a great deal in recognizing and being with the sensations so that over time I can go to the sensation and really just let it dissolve. But I couldn't at first, and I couldn't access the peace inside or the calm or the light at all. There was so much self-hate. So all this work had to be done, in my opinion, to get even close to recognizing some of the areas that to even go inside. I guess that's what I'm saying. So to me, let's say I come in and I hadn't done any work and I thought, well, I'm going to go right to the sensation and just feel it and no work, nothing. And I had trauma and I didn't do anything, right? I mean, or try to, oh, let's feel the peace inside. And I couldn't get it and I couldn't get it. It's like it would bounce off. It would like it wouldn't, there was, if that makes sense. So for me, and again, this is a belief, it can be whatever you want to call it. My process had to be around really, really working deeply with feelings, like people, like David said, maybe, some things you to go do in addition. And then now I can really be with sensations and still stuff surprises me. But then I take time with it. But for me, it's not like, oh, here's this sensation. I've never, I don't know what it is. It's come up forever, and I'll just stay with it and it'll just dissolve. This, whatever this is, needs to have some kind of holding of that first before it can dissolve. Does that make sense, David, to you? I feel like this is really important, and I don't, I think it's different from where you are. Maybe not. I don't know. It's certainly where I am and how I've seen it work for myself. And then now the peace is actually here, and there's a lot more light, and there's a recognition. And then now, when that's emphasized, the opportunity to feel that is so much more here than it ever was 10 years ago when I was doing that work. I mean, I didn't even know I had a light. So to me, it was really a process of unraveling, but also feeling along the way and understanding a bit and then opening. And then it's a total process. So anyway, I want to just put that in there. And I think it's confusing in a way because some teachers say, oh, I don't feel like, some people say this.
I just want to say that that's exactly how it was for me, exactly that way. And I had to establish some sort of safety to even be able to approach any of it. Like there had to be some more safety in my own system. So how do you make that happen? I needed to just sort through all the top layers first. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I had to make a space for it or something, or recognition allowed. It wasn't allowed somehow. Anyway, that's helpful. Yeah. I'm glad it's come up though, because it's here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you, Heidi. Yeah, I resonate a lot with what you're sharing, and that is the way it happened also for me. I did a lot of therapeutic work, and mainly on trauma healing, which I'm trained in trauma healing and in perinatal trauma work, which is the trauma of the psychology that take place in the womb and at birth. And in this work was just very beautiful because it's a place where the body do not have a functioning prefrontal cortex, right? So the memory is not localized in the brain. Like I said, it's unlocalized memory, which is very interesting, but also there's a huge memory, a somatic memory. So when you take someone and you dive into those places, it's pure somatic. There is no place for thoughts, and therefore there is no place for someone who is a companion who is supporting someone that do this process to hide. You cannot hide anything because it's everything. The field is one, right? It become really one, and everything vibrate within. So it was a huge work, and I learned a lot in those places, in this place, and it's really nice. And what you share about, I needed to understand, and I needed a support, and the main thing, the main difficulty in those places is the layer of support. That most of the mother do not have a layer of support enough. The father do not have a layer of support. The family don't have layer of support, and so there's a lack of layer of support, and the baby is feeling all of this. And then that's something that we are holding within, that we don't have enough support. And that's why when you work with someone that you want to explore those very deep layers, which is not trauma. It's simply trauma in the sense that is energy that is felt in the body, right? It just your body is felt in a very specific way, right? But that's very unique to you. The way you feel inside, you feel your arm, you move. It's just very specific to it's a memory, right? It's kind of the whole. It's a USB drive, your whole body. But the only way that to approach this, and that's where I want to express is, you need to have layer of support. You need to have really enough layer of support, often to be able to meet a sensation or to meet an emotion fully. And most of the time, you need a layer of support that is another being, because most of the very, very deep emotion we have, it's relational, dysfunctional. Not because they can be shock, they can be chemical, they can be very different shock in the body, but the strongest one that most of us have is a disconnection with the mother, and that the reflection of this is a disconnection with myself. That's how I feel it within. But that say, it's also the layer of support can be God or the divine, right? Which is really something that is palpable. So my process is very similar. I feel it's very similar as what you are sharing. That it took me time to find a place where I could meet those emotions, enough support, enough understanding for myself and people around me, and all of this, and to find this spark within, right? This spark of light within me. And over time, this spark is taking over. So now it's like, I love being with other person and I'm really enjoying it a lot. But this spark is like, it's night and there is the rising sun, and it's just such a beauty. I love to be with everyone, but the real juice is watching the rising of the sun, right? Even if alone or not, I prefer to be with people, but if I'm alone, the real juice is look at the sun, look at this light that is here. And at some point, this light can really be a huge layer of support, if not the only one needed, depending on how strong it appears specifically for you or for me or for anyone. But thank you for sharing, Heidi. That's really why I'm saying, if something makes sense for you, or if something appears for you and you are called for it, it's because it has its place, There is I don't look football, for example, but for some people it's very important. So football has its place. For some people, it's very supportive. So, and that's the same for all of the different spiritual path or therapeutical path or whatever you want. But what I'm trying to point is, whatever tool you are using, ultimately the goal of every tool is to wake up this spark within, right? And when this spark when you start to feel it, it changes everything. You can still do whatever you want, but it really changes everything. That makes sense for you too, Heidi?
Oh yeah, it's a game changer in the sense of just it's just, I don't know, all I can say is it's for the first time feeling loved from the inside. Just this light of love, and I never remember it being held that way. And so, I mean, some days are more than others, but the light's on, and that it wasn't on, it didn't feel on before. There was too much dirt on top of it, or, just experience or whatever you want to call it. It's buried. And all these defenses, not wanting it to be opened the way I saw it, like covering it, but over time, it actually happened. I didn't think it would ever happen. So I'm just saying that everybody's different, but I think to pay attention to that's there. It's like, what's the best way to work with revealing or allowing this to come forward, because it's right there, but not, anyway, I mean, it still sounds like, yeah, we've all had very similar situations where we don't know when somebody says, go to the light or feel God in your heart, and you're like, what are you talking about? And getting angry about it. Like, I don't get what you're saying, and then, then eventually, the work is done, hopefully, and people are opening and open. I think more and more people are, but yeah, I appreciate what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel the limitation of my understanding on how a mind work, on how a body work, and how whatever this is work, make me just humble, just by force. My mind is very arrogant, so I always feel that I understand things, but truly it's like I have really no idea. And I think that's a huge freedom to really, because if I don't know what is good for you, I will really pay attention to what you are sharing, right? Because there is nothing in me that want to impose something on you, because I don't know if what I think that I want to impose on you will work or not. And in both cases, it's terrible for both of us, because if I give you something, right, and it works, then I deprive you from an opportunity of learning from yourself. And if I give you something, do this, and it doesn't work, then I open the door to resentment and anger and confusion. So that's why even if I have a course and I propose something, I'm very, very light in the imposing or in the selling that it's life changing. It is life changing for me. It was for some participant, but I'm, this is the process is yours, and it's very individual, very personalized. And I'm highly respectful. I really respect the the mystery of life. That there is something that knows, but that I don't have really clear access to it. And even if when I have access to it, I have no way to pull out information from this. It's too small here. So I think this really bring the door of love, which is a complete open that I don't know you, but I'm really willing to be here right now with you, with what is here.
David, I don't think I feel the light in the same way that you guys are describing. Do you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay. Yeah, I would say there's a loving. It feels like a part. It doesn't feel like maybe what you guys are describing, like an inner. I don't know, what is that, warmth? Like it feels like there's a part of me that's very warm and could attend to other parts, but it's not really. It's probably a little bit different to what you guys are talking about. I don't know that I feel like this light that's like emanating from. Yeah, it seems to be something a little bit different there, right?
Mm. I don't know really, communication, it's a mystery. And but what I can share maybe it's, when I really like the morning and the night. I think they're really great places they're great places of sensitivity, because it seems like the habitual patterns seem to be more loose, like seem to be more fluid in the morning and at night. And what often happens, it's when I have the memory years ago, when I close my eyes, I saw darkness, and I was convinced that I felt nothing, that there was nothing there, right? It was like really darkness in a way. And now when I close my eyes, I mean, now I have light, so of course it's not really dark. But if I'm let's say I'm in a room very dark already, and I close my eyes and it's darker, or the room is and you can do this experiment. You take the darkest room that you have in your apartment, where there's absolutely no light, right? And like it's so dark that when your eyes are open or your eyes are closed, you have the same visual experience, just darkness. When this happens, I have an experience of darkness, but it's like I see the light clearly. I mean, I see the darkness very clearly. So I would say that's the light of consciousness. Yeah, because I'm having a clear experience of dark, of obscurity, very clearly. It's clearly there. And and you can feel that, I feel at some point it started to become impersonal. And there is something with me, with this light, about being impersonal. Like when this
Yeah,
spark is
no,
shining within,
mm,
it's full of love, but it doesn't love anything specifically. And at some
yeah,
point,
that's
when the mind come back, right? It kind of write a story that, oh, David is love, or whatever story it's that to have about that. But the about that is not that anymore. It's already a story.
that's the difference. It's not the kind that I feel doesn't. It feels very personal. It does not have the impersonal aspect. But maybe I don't know. Maybe females feel it differently. I'm not sure. Like, uh, I don't know. It just feels. Yeah, I'm just trying to. I don't think it's the same thing that you're describing, though.
Well,
Like,
well, first, it's not a competition, right?
okay,
So you're not doing anything right or anything wrong. You're simply feeling something deeply personal. If it's very personal, what's wrong with this? If you feel deeply loved personally, beautiful. Oh, that's amazing. Just
as
feel
in
this love.
personally. I mean, I'm sorry. I think I interrupted you. I just meant personally, like familiar. Like it feels familiar. Like it feels like me. It doesn't feel like anything that's not me, and me feels personal. I don't know. Me feels like the most personal part. Like it feels like the most intimate part is
Yeah.
that
Well,
your
that's
sense of.
where often we need to clarify, and it can be a process in itself to dive into this, because in a way there is the mind that is always projecting an identity in experience, right? So if the arm lift up, the mind will say, I am lifting the arm up. The arm goes down, then say, I am bringing my arm down. No, if I feel my jaw, this is my jaw, I am feeling the jaw is here, I am the jaw is part of me, right? And if there's an emotion, I'm happy, or I'm a happy person now, or an anger, or I'm an angry person now. And it's always projecting a form of me, a form of self, right? It's appropriate from the mind. the other part, this spark that you feel, this light, is what you are. So it is, there is no personal than the very essence of your being, right? So now that's really, I don't know where you are, you know, and it's not one or the other. Is to see that the individual, the experience of a me is appearing in a broader context, which is the infinite presence of what I am. Because the only thing, the only thing aware in your mind is your own being.
It doesn't have a personhood sort of thing. Like it feels like the you is you. I mean, that's the thing that you've always known. It has like that thing that was always like that. I don't know how to describe it. Like this part of me that was like really innocent. I think that's what
Oh,
this
beautiful.
is,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
always like an
Of
innocence.
course.
It's just always, yeah.
Yeah.
But the innocence also feels, yeah, this is where it gets confusing. I could see like it has a little bit of like the identification. It has somewhat of the maybe like a child that's innocent, or you know, the younger me, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I talk about sensitivity, because you will never think you will out of this. You will never clarify by thinking. And the only way to clarify is to be with this innocent child, be with this energy without thinking, and feel it, and things will happen. But you will never be able to explain it, not, or to me, neither to your own self, what those layers are. And that's the difficulty with when you go deeper. That's why I'm when I say leave the thought completely, it's at that level. For some uh, for some very deep somatic experience, the conceptual layer, it creates more confusion than clarity. So you let the mind out and you dive into it as much as you can, 30 seconds, a minute every 2 hours, whatever you can, hours, whatever, just whatever you can, just be with it, have this intention, and when it comes, you be with it without seeking, without digging, without struggling. Simply when it arises, if you can go to the bathroom, take a coffee, do a break, whatever you do, and try to be with it directly. And don't think. And when you come back, let's say, out of it, you will see that naturally thought will start to reorganize itself about what it was, what it is, what it should be. But for the exploration, the analytical part of your mind will it it provides you from this experience to unfold completely.
Prevent you're
Yeah,
saying, can
yeah,
you,
yeah.
yeah, the
The
conceptual layer prevent.
the thinking is preventing the sensitivity or some kind of realization to happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could see that. I mean, you said you needed at the beginning. You needed support. I didn't have support, so I created it through my imagination. I just kept using my imagination to imagine a person there, and I needed. It didn't, you know, the infant doesn't care about God or whatever. It just needed their mommy or daddy or whatever, right? So I
Yeah,
just needed to be in the form of a person. I
yeah,
actually needed that specifically, and then it got like it. And now I'm able to pull it in more, or I don't know how to say that, but like kind of just, yeah.
yeah. If you had a problematic childhood or very or abusive, no, I'm not talking about parent abusive, but just abusive situation, right? That your body could feel that way. if you have this kind of story, the difficulty is like the support often has to be physical. You have no, because the baby survived because of touch. If you are with a baby and you talk to him for hours, it doesn't. It's fine. It's better than nothing. But it's you have to touch him. So touch is a huge part of human growth and the psychological and the biological growth of survival. That's just mechanical, right? If you don't touch a baby, terrible things happen. If you touch him, it's getting better if you give tenderness. So there are some energy that need to be really be met physically, but the whole process of touching someone, it's huge. No, it's not like, oh, touch me here and it's fine. No, it's a whole it's a whole deal, which is beautiful. It has
It has to be
its
another
beauty.
person. Like it had, and for things to like.
Again, if you feel God, nothing is needed, right? But if you feel I'm trying to answer to what you are expressing, right? That you really need support. And it's what I'm hearing is like there are some that you imagine support to dive into sensation, but at some level when you dive deeper, the imagination is gone because the thought has had to be gone, and then you don't have this support. That's what I'm hearing. So from my place, you have two choices: or you have other beings or things alive, animals or being that can, or therapists or whatever that can support you, or you you dive into obscurity, and you will see when it gets very dark, the spark is there. When it's very dark, in absolute darkness, you will see the spark very clearly, and you will just zoom in completely in.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I'm gonna just say something a little bit edgy right now because I don't know where else to put this. How do we know that God isn't imagination and that imagination isn't God? Like, we don't know what Sarah was imagining as an infant, and what if that was God? Do you know what I mean? Like, this is, and I realize these are thoughts, but it's like, I heard Sarah ask a question and I'm projecting on Sarah because I had a similar experience where there wasn't anybody. And then as I grew older, God was introduced, but bad things were happening, and I would pray, and bad things would still happen. And so there wasn't an ability to develop or cultivate a relationship, a healthy relationship with the divine. And so there's this feeling of like, and then also not being able to trust others. So when you were telling Sarah that like she needed to have a connection with other beings, I'm just like, oh shit, I'm screwed. Like, because like, I can't trust other people and I can't trust God either because there's all this
Yeah,
memory and evidence about how like that has never worked. And then the body is just like it really wants to self-source. It really wants to self-source its way through this, right? There's so much resistance to God. There's so much resistance to trusting others. There's so much. This is why non-duality is so attractive for this body mind, because it's like, yeah, I don't like, I can just cultivate
autonomy, right?
everything, right? Yeah.
Autonomy.
And I also see it's more doing, right? It's just one more way to try and fix Nicole, right? So anyway, I just wanted to drop that steaming pile of shit out there for y'all.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole, for your sharing. Is nice. Feels very fresh and authentic. I like it. yeah, that's where I'm struggling. When I give some kind of advice directly after, it's like, yeah, but this doesn't work. It's like, yeah, I know. That's why I don't do this. But then I don't give advice, and then David don't give advice. So it's like, yeah. So I'm always wrong.
Yeah, but we want
But
advice,
wait,
right?
yeah,
Like
I
it's,
know.
I know Sarah wants it. I want it, right? The
No, no,
mind
no.
wants the
I'm not.
advice.
First, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that Sarah asked me for an advice. I'm just sharing, just in general. I'm not specifically highlighting Sarah, right?
But the self source is what I really, because I feel like there's nobody that could provide it in the way that I discovered that I could provide it for myself. I mean, it really is. I could activate in my body like warmth through, like just bringing it in. I could really. It's so powerful. Like, why would I? Nobody could do that. They don't know me in the same way that I know myself. So like, why would I need somebody? It's like almost like a step back or something. But I don't know. Like,
Yeah. Well, again, you don't need to be touched, okay? I didn't say that you need to be touched. What I try to convey is like it can be supportive, but I also said that it's a whole deal. It's a whole, like you said, Nicole, who will touch you? What are the conditions? What are the preparation? What's the context? How long does it take? Does it has to happen? What's going on? How many people are there? What's the goal? All of this? I'm thinking it's a whole thing, right? It's a big deal. I am aware of it, but I was trying to reflect that the the body and try focuses survival. That is main focus. Survival, the biological survival and psychological survival, which is two way of. It's one thing, but they kind of are function. They function together, but they are also a bit different in the way that you approach it, right? So the body needs food, but it also needs human contact. Otherwise, the body cannot function because the psyche need another human to kind of build something. Who knows, right? But it's very complex. That's what I was trying to point to. Only this. And then to answer to trying to answer to you, Nicole and Sarah, I say autonomy. Yeah, I can do it with myself. I can do it within. I understand very well what you are sharing. At the same time, when you discover God, let's say, you see that you do nothing alone. This whole trick of autonomy, it's a complete lie. You are 100% dependent on reality for everything. And everyone around you and your environment around you is exactly an expression of this reality, just as your mind and your body. So in every case, it's always a whole that is appearing. So when I hear I can do it myself, what are you talking about? You think you are stronger than than life? No, I understand this energy. At the same time, the life force that you feel within, that I feel something strong within, this life force is in everyone. And when you share it, when you start to share it in your own way, in your own way, in your own specific way, you start to see that what you share start to multiply. And what you try to hold, or I do it alone, it's very powerful, but it's very small. So the instead, one thing that worked for me when I was in that with that, when I saw it, you can shift your understanding. When I am with someone, I'm not with that person. I am with an expression of the divine appearing in front of me. So for everyone that come within, that is triggering intense emotion, or that I feel it's too much, it's a gift from God. And someone that is elevating me and pointing things, and kind of, it's an aspiration, it's also an expression of the divine. It's an expression of the within, right? When I close my eyes and I feel this beauty within, oh nice. And I open my eyes and I see people, that's the same. And I think one step of the process is to stop differentiate between what comes from myself and what comes from others. Because if something comes from someone else is less valuable than if it comes from within. But if as there is no outside and not within, everything it's an invitation. And instead of holding this, I can rely only on myself, is more I can rely only on the light within.
That's what I meant by that. What else would it be?
Yeah.
It's the life force that I feel that I could, it could be, I don't know, there's no words really to put on it, but I think maybe we're referring to the same thing, but I don't know. I do feel like it's a step. Autonomy is a really important step in this, because otherwise you're chasing other people for these things, and you want to at some point pull away from that and start discovering it in yourself, and then the whole world is in you, like, and it's just not.
The other day I was walking on the street and I met a stranger. He was, when I saw him, I said, "Wow, we are complete opposite energy." He was, because I'm tall. I'm 2 meters high, right? And I'm kind of very lean, very thin. And he was very small, very huge, a lot of muscle and fat, and I talked to him, and he was really like the very down to earth, like he worked in construction all of his life, and he was telling me like both of his knees are just gone, and he feel pain every day, and his body is going to hell, and he was smoking and drinking, and I was just talking to him for a while, and I was just amazed. I was just, what a beauty! Just another universe. He's right in front of me, and we are somehow we are communicating somehow, right? A little bit. I mean, a lot, but that's just a window on another universe that is completely different than mine. Oh, what a beauty! And it seemed awful, it seemed a terrible place, but at the same time, wow, how can this be? What a strange! What was going on there? I was very curious, and I was full of tenderness and love, even though our life are miserable, right? But just for this moment, it was just such a surprise. It was such a beautiful encounter, and completely wild to me. it was really great.
Do you feel like it's two different things though? Because I feel like autonomy, I could actually enjoy people more, and I have great conversations, like with strangers too. It's really, really fun. Those are the best. So I'm just, to me, it doesn't cancel out that you really, really enjoy other people and you love connecting. And I still have that really deep yearning to connect. I mean, that's really wonderful, but it definitely needed to be first sort of the place of power here in a way.
Yeah.
To to not try to get my needs from other people. And
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure we used the term autonomy in the same way. That's maybe why,
maybe.
but you know, to me, at the beginning, it was I will do it by myself, which was a complete failure, right? And then I shifted into God will do it for me, right? So I will give everything away, and He will take care of it, right? And now, now it's I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what is going on, what should happen, what shouldn't happen. I don't know how to live here. I have no idea how people live. I think no one knows how to live in this. But here we are doing things, right? But instead of there's not anymore, like you said, is there is the way you said is autonomy in the sense that I am aware that there is no experience, there is no relationship, there is no object that will be able to fulfill my heart, let's say. That's impossible. So the only way is for this something else, this light, to take over. And I'm willing to let this light take over. And I'm doing my best for this light to do whatever it has to do. So it's very paradoxical because, as you said, I feel less and less interested in the world, in earth, in things. But as I get detached, I feel freedom from this. I feel an inner freedom that no matter what happens, I'm free, right? And as this is happening, it goes both ways. And suddenly, I feel love for everyone. I'm able to feel love for everyone, and I see beauty everywhere. So then, how do you talk about it? That it can it's very specific to everyone how you express this. But at some point, I talk a lot about paradox. This is very paradoxical, right? Because there is no one here, so you can love everyone. This sentence make no sense, but that's
It does
just how
make
it happens.
sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It
Maybe
totally makes sense.
it,
Because you're
well,
making space. You're not there and everybody else is there. So you're kind of like, you're the open space
yeah,
for everyone.
yeah,
Like, to me, it makes total sense. I don't know. When people say paradoxes, I don't actually see a paradox. To me, it makes sense from both angles. So,
yeah.
yeah. But
It's paradoxical in the sense that the mind cannot understand because the mind is linear. It's black and white.
okay.
It's one or the other, right? It's
Yeah.
like a lawyer, like ask you a question very specifically. So if you say yes, you are doomed, and if you say no, you are doomed. Like there is no, there is no, there is no way out. This is the mind. It's all trick you
Great.
into.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the heart doesn't work that way. Everything that is really, if you look at your life right now, if we take it to be a moment just to look at your experience right now, and you can go in memory if you need to, that's fine. But if you look to to what makes sense, what is meaningful in your life, what is the people, the love that you feel for people, the pleasure that you feel in activities, the memory you have of this, right? The beauty that you saw in landscape or in different objects that you may own. I see that the meaning of the purpose of your life or your activity that makes sense for you, the love that you feel for your family or friends or dogs, the beauty that you see in landscape or different objects is inexplicable. And you cannot measure them. There is no measure, there is no way to have a reference frame of how much I love my father, and how much I love my mother, and how much I love my brother, how much and what is meaningful and deeply valuable for us as being is not measurable, but still is very, very present, very, very real, very, very alive. In fact, it is the only thing alive. But description of it, talking about it, trying to put a level or to measure things, that's completely mental. And that's imaginary. And that's a huge shift to understand that what is really powerful and meaningful for us is not conceptual. So because it is outside of the capacity of our analytical mind, it's impossible for us to talk about it. It's ineffable. And I think this is one of the path of contemplation that I was trying to point, which is maybe very similar to devotion, which is very connected to what Nicole said, like, what is imaginary? Do I am imagining God? Do I am this? Do I am that? At some point, is who cares? It is meaningful for you. It is expensive. Do you feel a peace that is inexplicable? If so, who cares? Whatever the way it appears. And reconnecting with this deep meaning within, with this deep spark, with this deep light within. It's very, very powerful, because the light that I am, the light of consciousness or God or reality, is where this experience is coming from. It is this life force that is holding every atom everywhere all together, that is making this experience coherent. That when the image I have of my arm and the sensation I have on my arm and my thought about my arm are all perfectly synchronized together, perfectly. Who is doing this? This life force that is here. So this is what is already taking care of everything. So the more I align to it, the more my perception, my sensation, my thought will get informed by it, and they will realign in the best way possible, because this is an experience of limitation. So the best alignment will always be a failure, right? But it doesn't matter, because it's not in sensation, perception, or thought that meaning is. And I want to clarify that. I often talk about going into sensation, but when you go into sensation, you still are in manifestation. You still are focusing on an object in your experience. So that's not the end goal, but that's already a huge step outside of the analytical mind. And the step from sensation to this non-conceptual light, this presence that you are, it's become more porous from sensation than from thought, even though everything is possible. So the meaning is what we are. And I think I feel when I contemplate my experience, I can see that. When I I was at the beach with my son today, and it was beautiful. There was the water, the sun down. The sun was going down. It was a beautiful light and the reflection, and he was throwing rocks, and the picture was amazing. It was a beautiful image. But the beauty that it's here, the love, it's here. It's not in my son out there, it's here. But I'm not negating the experiential beauty, the projection of this beauty on my screen, right? On my eyes, in my eyes. What a beauty. And then it's, instead of focusing, I need to go back to the beach. I should have taken a picture. I should have this. Oh, my son is my life. Oh, I still feel the beauty, right? So maybe I'm using an image and the image is coming, but the true juice is it's this inner experience of light within. And sometimes I'm feeling this light when I'm sitting in my room in the dark. Beautiful. So it doesn't need a support, but sometimes it can have a support. And also, really remember that that's what you are. And everything else that seemed to happen maybe is not that important. And if it is important, recognize that the importance is not, it's not out there. It's because somehow it, there's a projection of importance on it. I need to do this in my life. No, you don't. But I feel I have to. So you have to now. Nice. Try to make it happen. See what. Maybe you succeed. Maybe you don't. Let it happen, right? And that's the freedom. Absolutely, you let your experience completely free. Completely free. And you see, now we are in a different place again. You feel it? And that's very subtle because very fast we are in this, what do I need to do to get somewhere? And then, yeah, but somewhere, so what is this place? And I start to think about what is that I have to go? What is this place? How to get there? And how do I know that I'm there? And then I start to kind of enter in confusion. That's what this contemplation idea is. It is step back, and there's a huge relaxation in it. What if you arrived already? What if this is the end of whatever story you have? What if this is it? Hey Ray, you appear. You appeared on the screen.
That's right. I was it's the middle of my workday, so I was doing some work, and then I noticed it's like, oh, all the guys are off camera, and all the ladies are on camera. So I wanted to present myself.
Oh,
I don't know why. I just did that.
nice. Yeah, thank you. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, I've been gone. I've been out of the country and been traveling a lot these last 2 weeks. So
My
yeah,
idea.
I haven't been around that much. But anyhow, I'm here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I've been listening in. It's nice to hear people talking about stuff like this. I don't know. I find it grounding. So
Mm. Yeah, thanks for turning on your camera and saying hello.
yeah. Yeah, I can be shy about these things, but here I am.
Yeah. Those meetings to me are very important because in my day-to-day life, I feel that my way of life or the environment where I am, it's and the people around me are very living in imagination. They are really lost in their own belief systems and basically their own hallucination. And that cause that connected with the fact that to provide for my family and to have a shelter and food. I have to work in a whole society that is meaningless, that has no no clear purpose of any kind, and that's just the echo of this to me is the echo of this meaninglessness is just echoing it in every layer of society, and I'm part of a society, so I can feel it, and I can feel it in consciousness also, if I'm to be more spiritual, but I can feel it also. But those meetings remind me that there is a lot of people who are deeply interested in living meaningful life and to reconnect or remember that this is very and this is amazing experience. even in even if we live miserable and society it's a complete decadence and every day seems to be worse, even in the midst of that, this is really a miracle, and it's very meaningful, and it's very pleasant for me to have other beings who are interested in that. I'm saying all of this to say, just like because you are present and you say hello, and you talk about you went to holiday, and I'm very happy that you are here. There's no need of big speech or the highest question possible.
Yeah. To what you were saying, I mean, I find that, my to-do list is never done. I guess I turned on the meeting and I was listening in and I was like, well, I just have to do a handful of things. And then I'll put my attention fully on the meeting and I'll participate. But, it just kept creeping like, oh, well, I've done these things, but really would be better if I did these things too. And I have just a couple more things I could do here and be more productive. And it was just endless. And so at some point I was just like, I think I can be done with this for now, sort of as you call it, the world of hallucination, or, they're real things that, I think, I don't know, they have some kind of illusory value. People would say, oh, good job, you did those things, you had a productive day, but I don't know, they don't need to be done right in the here and now. And so I was happy to set those things down and pay attention to what's going on here.
Yeah. I think this is something that is happening very collectively. There is an energy of stress that is showing up. And I think there is a part that is personal, but there's a part that is simply the flavor of this exact time, of this constant stress to go nowhere. It's very weird.
Mhm. Yeah, I was just thinking this is, I mean, maybe it has something to do with what feels like end stage capitalism. Like people, at least for me personally, I feel like the work that I do is becoming more disconnected from my family, my community. And it's, I ask myself why I'm working so hard and so stressed out. If it feels like both the pressure I'm getting and the people who are benefiting from my work are essentially people who have nothing to do with my day-to-day life. And probably I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people feel this way because a lot of jobs are that way now.
Yeah, I think what we live is this reflection of our ignorance and the confusion that we have. And there is something very, very interesting about time and space, because the more we focus on producing objects and producing tools to make our life easier, our physical life easier, right? So the more we focus on matter, on the solid aspect of our experience, the more time speed up. And the more you withdraw your attention from the world, and the more things slow down. So there is really a huge value in slowing down. It's really huge. And when you withdraw your attention from the world, but you keep if you can, your functioning and your work maybe, or something for survival, maybe not, but if it happens, maybe it's better. There is something that starts to slow down with it. And the more you slow down, the more you see what's happening within. I see what's happening within me. And I think that's one opportunity to reconnect with meaning. What is meaningful for me? And personally, from my own experiences, is the divine, right? That is giving meaning, which is very specific for everyone. And I think we are in that time of meaning crisis. Like you say, you go to work, but you don't understand why. But I think even deeper, it's I don't even know why I'm alive. Like people want to survive, but what's the point if you don't have, something meaningful to live for, to survive for? But as you say, like if I'm disconnected with my family, with my environment, my society, why would I even want to survive, right? And I think this line of thinking, that's the line of the finite mind. That's the limitation of of the ego, right? That only see objects and time. But again, meaning is not in that. And we build a whole society and a way of life that is focused on the need of the ego. And therefore we lost touch with meaning. So it can be a huge challenge personally, because our environment is not helping you much, I guess, to connect with meaning. So it's an effort, and that's why those meeting, and others, right? I think they are very, very important.
you just articulated the exact experience of existing, the experience here. Like
Mm.
what you just said is exactly that. But it's there's a very strong awareness of the no meaning, and therefore what am I doing, and why am I doing this? And there's a lot of suffering happening, but not, but then also at the same time of an avoidance of just really like feeling that all the way through.
Yeah.
And so it's like this place of like limbo hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really like it feels like existential. Like, is this what we're doing? I feel like this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. I think there's something else here. It's like this huge question mark, but I'm doing the same thing, getting up, going to work to make money so I'm not homeless, right? It's like, but
Yeah.
what's the point of that? What a waste. Like, it seems like there's some big thing behind the curtain that I is right there for me to look at, but I can't look.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, completely. I really, I feel the same, you know, like the things that, the object that you buy, like to provide shelters, need other objects and other objects, and then you need more time. So you buy new objects to have more time, but those objects cost you time and energy to sustain them. And but the whole environment we have built is structured that way. So it it there is, I don't feel there is a way out. So I think the to me the way out is being, really, is slowing down, reconnecting with meaning, reconnecting with something very deep within. And the more I'm connecting with that, the more I feel this presence within, the more my experience start to make sense. Not because of what I do, not because it is intelligent. No, I mean, society doesn't mean don't is not pointing in a direction of positive change from a perspective, you know. So I think the only way I see for me is to really to reconnect with our meaning, with meaning within, and to let go of the world of outside us as much as we can.
I guess I don't know how to connect with meaning. There's no, that's like a foreign language, you know. There's no, there's some resistance to even looking because it's so sure there's nothing in there.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
yeah. So y- you have the assumption that there is nothing in there. So why even looking?
But also it's like a fear of having to be with the verification that there's nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
That's
it's
interesting.
it's all kinds of mind fuckery, really, but it's even hard to put into words, but it keeps this in this kind of stuck place of,
Mm,
you know, knowing that it knows nothing and wanting something different, but not being able to make anything different, and not accepting what is, but wanting to be able to just relax and allow, but it can't.
mm.
It's, yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
that's
I mean,
crazy. It's total crazy making.
you've articulated it really well. I
yeah.
mean, basically, what it sound to me, it sounds like, you know, the mind sort of eating its own tail almost. It has this, and you know, I feel like I experienced something similar where it's like it has these values, it's set up, and then, you know, it either achieves them or it doesn't achieve them. And there's this frustration about like, why can't I be happy? But there is something, I mean, that recognizes what's going on, and you're describing it. And I don't know. It seems like that's sort of the beingness that David's talking about. I don't know. That it doesn't feel like the words don't sound like they're making any sense, but that's just kind of what came up here.
In the process of observing more and more layers to what is arising, there's this limbo-y place of watching these patterns and realizing that there's an observing of the pattern, and it makes one feel, you would think there would be some relief. Oh, that this is arising. That isn't what I am. This is what I'm witnessing. I can't be what I'm observing. But really what it's causing is, in this place right now, is just complete and utter, am I crazy? Am I losing my mind? You know, like I think maybe it's a worse before better scenario. If that makes sense. Like, to just, the more you observe the craziness of what, the more I observe, the more Nicole observes how absurd all of this is, it feels, it's maddening. It's just like, you know, it's just complete and utter insanity. But also no way of knowing how to fix it, because mind can't get out of mind can't fix it, right? There's no way to think yourself out of this.
No, but you see, right now, there is other dimension in our experience than thinking. And that's what we are so used to focus our attention on thoughts that we completely forget often hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, and touching, and the full field of sensing. There are a lot of things happening there, and they are as valid, even more present than society. Society, it's an idea. Country is an idea. Money is an idea. But feeling my belly full, that's not an idea. But that's a sensation. So that's there is the madness. It's even if my body is not in danger, there is no danger around me. My belly is full. I'm not neither angry. I'm not hungry or thirsty, and there is fear. Right. So this fear is really built in imagination, and is a product of our conditioning. What if I lose my job? What if I lose my social status? Right? What if the neighbor, the country that is on the neighbors start to want more territory? What if the economy? What's happening there? The newsletter and all of this, the news and all of those. All of those are attracting us in the collective hallucination. That it's a collective hallucination because we agree on, right? If I give you a piece of paper of $100, you will take the paper and say, I have something more than paper. And I will say, you have something more than paper. So I lose something more than paper, right? So we agree to be crazy. we have agreed on this. So that's the layer. But then when you go deeper, there are deeper layers there is not even a body to be thirsty or hungry or to die. So there are different, let's say, layers of conceptual um, manifestation. I just sometimes just by naming it can bring some kind of clarity. Like you can say, okay, all of this is madness, but maybe having money to eat can make some sense, even if that's just crazy money, the way all of this works. But for this body to function, I can, that's okay. I will not try to change this. And then there is the other layer, when you have eaten, when you have done what needed to be done, that you can sit. Or right now, those meetings, you can take time to focus on the light within. But for me, I feel that we need to put things what they are and just to allow to answer in the appropriate place,
There seems to be some boredom, like this body in particular, it becomes bored with peace. It believes that it needs to be doing all the time. If there's a day where come to consciousness and wake up and there's not a to-do list, it's uncomfortable. It's an unconscious launching into, okay, well then I'm gonna wash all the windows. There's always, like it needs to stay busy because for some reason it's uncomfortable with peace, and I think that's probably the root of the suffering, and why when you say tuning into the light, it's like, what is even that? There's been glimpses of that, but it's always through taking large doses of illegal substances. That's like the only way that can be seen, because this body mind is just like do go. You have to be moving towards something or something bad's gonna happen. It's crazy. There's that word again.
Yeah, we have been very conditioned into a lot into doing again. So sometimes it can take time to kind of undo or reprocess this. So, I think that's why we need to be gentle with ourselves. And that's why often I don't emphasize much on what to do or what not to do, right? Because sitting for 8 hours is maybe not a bigger success than just doing for 8 hours. I really think that the real beauty is the sensitivity that you have of what is going on, what is experience, and not what is going on in experience. So if for you have to clean your flat every day, there's nothing wrong with it. The issues start when there is the thought that I shouldn't do this, I should do that, and this is better than that. And because of the story of the Zen and Buddhism and the Hindus, and then everyone want to sit and meditate, but our environment and our condition and our day and time is completely different than 3,000 years ago. The time itself is completely different. We don't live at the same rhythm. Time is not constant. Time it's the rhythm of time depends on the consciousness that is what is watching it, right? So it's the speed that we are living now, it's completely different. So really, it's more about what you are and what experience is, and this is what brings peace more and more. And again, the light that you said, that I don't see the light, I don't see the light. That's why often that's true that if you are in conscious activity, it's harder. That's why I say if you focus on sensation, it can be supportive. And that's why also on the course, there is phases of thought, emotion, and then we dive into sensation, perception, and we dive into it, because slowing down, it can wake up this. For example, when I take a shower, I really, now I can, but I remember that it was very difficult. I was always thinking when I took showers, right? I would take a shower. Really, I enjoy to feel the water on my skin. You know, what I look, just feel the temperature, how it goes, and just how it feels. It's very nice. And just this, it's already a slowing down. It's a slowing down in a way that is pleasant. The difficulty, as you say, Nicole, it's often we want to stop doing and to enter in our deepest resistance and suffering and fear straight away, like immediately, to get rid of it. That's very hostile, and that's the same doing, right? I will watch my suffering with the same intensity that I have. It's one line in my to-do list, right? Go to the bank, end my suffering, and do the grocery, right? That's that's kind of the way the mind thinks. But that's not the way I approach it. If you approach your experience in a nice way, in a, you know, if you start to feel how, for example, if you wash your windows and you feel a sense of completeness, of clean, and all that's clean. How do you feel? Just take a few seconds. If you can just feel, that's nice, right? Instead of jumping it, right? Just this slowing down, and in the slowing down to feel sensation. Why? Because the habit and the way that you feel pleasant sensations is the same habit and the same way that you will feel intense sensation. So the more I have the sensitivity and the capacity to feel pleasant sensation, it will be the same the same capacity to hold boredom, to hold loneliness, to hold difficult sensations. So that's why we often enter into the intensity directly, but often it's too hard. But if you enter into the pleasant, into the joy, into the peace, it will give you the same tools and the same capacity. You know, it will broaden your capacity of holding sensation, of holding intensity within yourself.
I just want to say, Nicole, I very much resonate with the peace feels uncomfortable because your body is so used to this, the riled up chemistry, right? And it actually takes, develop a taste for it basically, very, very slowly. It understands what, I mean, it calls it safety, but it's deeper than that. But initially it's like this feeling that everything's okay. So yeah, I understand that a lot.
Thank you, David and Sarah. Thank you. It's helpful.
One of the in the course I speak about time, how thought, I start with thought because thought is time. Thought is this sense of identity, and it is, remember, right, the sense of choice and control, right? And that's one of the issue, because thought develop a sense of identity. Well, then if I'm always in action, for example, I'm always stimulating, then it's said to manufacture as a personality that is always active. So when I try to step out of the identity of that the mind have manufactured, the whole body mind will try to correct itself to go back to the what seemed normal. So it's true, like Cesar, have said Sarah, the normality has changed, or the normality is abnormal. But it feels like it's normal. It feels like it's me.
I mean, to me, the boredom is just kind of a resistance to whatever's happening in the present. That's like the resistance to peace. And yet, I mean, when you act on that resistance, when you feel that boredom and you want to go do like a bunch of things, I don't know. I don't feel like I don't feel like I find joy in that, at least. Like joy and distraction are very different, um, in those moments. So, so I don't know. But I mean, I guess there's also a difference, as you were saying, like if I'm running around cleaning the house, there's a way to do that where I have no resistance to what's happening. And it's just like, I'm enjoying doing this. I don't need to sit in peace. Like I enjoy what's happening now. Or there can be some resistance to this if I feel like, well, I should be sitting peacefully. Why can't I sit peacefully? Instead, I'm cleaning the house or something like that. And so, even if, I don't know, I feel like even if the habit is there, if the resistance isn't, there's not really a problem. But maybe I haven't considered everything about it. It's just kind of, I don't know, that's what came up. Anyhow, I gotta go get my boys. So
Yeah, I think it's time.
yeah.
Thank you, everyone,
Well.
for your presence.